I mean, first of all, welcome to the Pivot fam. Thank you for pivoting with us. Another 3-man Friday. Excited to sit down, share with the boys, talk to the boys, just kind of get their thoughts. It's been a heavy few weeks or a couple weeks or last week, however that frames in your mind in our society, in our country. I think for me, I just want to check in with y'all and, just see how y'all doing.
Bro, I'm good. Life throws haymakers at you. We talked about, I just did something else with my dad in his hometown. Life throws, they throw curve balls and you got to deal with it. But it's your circle, the people you're around. If you show me your best friend, I show you what you want to be or what you are, because that's the people you around. So to be honest, right now, bro, it's been some times and, throughout the show where I wasn't good and I kind of articulated it. But I think right now, bro, I'm straight.
It's just so much going on in the world that, it allows you moments to kind of sit back and reflect on where you've come from, where you've been, where you're going, and really what's going on with humanity, what's going on with people. Mm-hmm. A lot of times I think like, damn, I wish I could lead this ball, whether we're living in it or on it. How do I get away from it sometimes? Because you grow up, majority of my life, because this is a new world. Social media, AI, it's so much going on. What's true, what's not true. The world is just changing right in front of us, because in one instance, you can believe something to be right based on your morals and values and what you've been taught your entire life. And then the next minute, that does not exist, because there are individuals in this world that, what's opposite of woke is not real. You feel me? Mm-hmm. And it's confusing. Yeah. But you have to still stay on that. If you believe in integrity, if you have certain values, you gotta stay on it. And you gotta put your foot down on it. So at the end of the day, I try not to let that consume me too much. So I'm grateful for moments like this, where I can get with you guys and we can kind of express how we feel about things that's going on outside of us. Mentally, personally, I'm fine. Yeah. Like I'm still building, I'm still growing. Different opportunities are coming into existence. It's football season, shit. How much, down can you actually be? We back in our element, but I think about the people who haven't had the fortune to be in the position that I'm in, because I believe and I always say I'm gonna be okay, yeah. Right? And I try my best to hope and help other people be okay, but I just truthfully hope that they are really gonna be okay. You feel what I'm saying?
No, man, I was gonna say that when I went to Farrell, Pennsylvania, which is a little steel mill town, the steel mill done died now, so it used to be thousands of people, now it's a couple thousand people. And so I went up there, we had a memorial for my dad a couple weeks ago. And they were telling me all these football stories, all these athletic stories. My daddy was 6'4", 250 back in the day. That was a monster, right? But the stories that got to me, it was a little bitty white lady. And she said, I moved into Farrell in 7th grade, so everybody already had their friend groups. And nobody knew me, so they kind of left me out of the friend groups. She said, my 3rd day at lunch, she said, I hated lunch because that's when you see
the cliquish.
Who messes with you. She said, the 3rd day, your dad told me to sit with him. And once I sat with Randy, my daddy, she was like, from then on, my life was good because I was cool. I was cool with Randy. Those are the stories, to your point about like humanity. Mm-hmm. That's what it is, man. Success and money and all that stuff that everybody chases. The humanity of it was something that I found out that was just, that is bigger than, yeah, your daddy could play quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And like, that's the thing. So, bro, be a good person. Be a good human being. Yeah. And that's what life is about.
I think I'm sad. just in the past week or so, there have been more people speak out about how our society needs to come together, about how our country needs to come together, about how separate and divided we are. And I think for so long, so many marginalized communities and underspoken for communities, less represented communities have said this about where society is. And I just think it's now on the doorstep of different people. And I don't think this is the time for policy and agenda. I think this is the time for humanity. And we've heard so much about what God wants and Christianity from so many people. And I think what we miss is in John 3:16, it said, "For God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son, so that whosoever believes will not perish but have eternal life." It's whosoever believes, not if you're the right color, not if you're the right ethnicity, not if you're the right gender, it's everybody. And I think as we move forward, there shouldn't be talks of division or talk of you being less than because you're this color, talk of you being less than because you're of this gender or you're of this ethnicity or you're of this mindset. It should be, how can we all come together and move forward as one to where we can disagree on policy, but we don't have to disagree on a human being worth taking care of, loving, providing for, and being supported. I don't think I ever want to be a part of a world where a person's thoughts or words or ideologies gives another person the right to take their life. That's something that I'm not celebrating now, something I won't celebrate going forward. I don't want to continue to be a part of a society where kids have to be scared about going to school, where parents have to worry, will I see my kid at 3 o'clock? Will they ever come off of the bus? I don't want to continue to live in a society where Black people are found hanging from trees on school campuses. And so for me, this is not a time for more divisive talk. This is not a time to make sure certain agendas are carried out. This is the time to try to come together. And whatever I can do to bridge that gap, whatever part we can be to do that, I think that's, what we should do.
Everybody's capable of everything. There are great Black doctors, there are great white doctors, and they're both great. Everybody's great at what they do.
Something just came to mind, because what it is for me, it's balance, right? And that brings to mind the conversation that you had with Peter on the show. Perspective, because that's what it boils down to, perspective. And I'll lay it up so you can kind of take us back to where you were thinking. But I think we're talking about balance.
Yeah,
right?
I think the first thing is what I learned from that is, and not even what I learned from that, like I have to be accountable for me. I am all I can control. I can't control Peter Schrager's reaction to what I say. I can't control how people spin the narrative afterwards. All I can control is what I do. And the first thing is I respect Peter Schrager. I respect the way that he's earned his right to speak on football. I respect the way that he's earned his right to be on Get Up and First Take and NFL Live and on the sidelines of ESPN games. And so I think that's first and foremost. Secondly, I've done this job for 12 years. I've never had that interaction. I work with Stephen A every day, and that's Stephen A's big thing. I never played the game. You guys did. So I lean to you for that. Obviously, I work with Mina. She's my favorite NFL analyst in the world. I think she's one of the best to ever do it. We don't necessarily have that interaction, and I fully support her and everything. During that show, Greeny and Peter sort of had this thing where they kept going back about him not playing. And he joked about it, and Greeny joked about it, and it was in a different context than obviously what I said. I don't know and haven't worked with Peter long enough for him to know that I meant it about perspective. His thought was extremely valid about CeeDee Lamb. The way he perceived it. And what I was trying to say is that is a different perception from what a player sees. And maybe in the setup, I didn't do it the right way. I'm accountable for that. Maybe I could have said, hey, let me give you a player's perspective and not made it about Peter at all. And so then obviously the other piece of it was all the people who wanted to jump in afterwards and pile on or say it means this about me or it means that about me or whatever it is. I have no words for those people because I've moved to a place in my life where I truly do not care. It was about Peter and I having a conversation going forward. We had that conversation. He gave me his perspective on it. I gave him mine. And in that sense, I've grown from that interaction and now we move on. But yeah, I was in no way trying to say that his opinion was invalid. I was actually trying to validate the opinion while showing what the difference in perspective of how CeeDee Lamb felt from the helmet. But I do realize I have to be accountable for how I approach it.
Bro, there's a different look in the locker room when they start talking about, like, there's words that the media says, and now we're in the media, like the culture and the relationship and all that. And in the locker room, it's like, it's like, do your goddamn job too. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what we've got taught our whole life. And I'll be honest, RC, I love you to death on TV. I like listening to Mina more than you talk about football. X and O football-wise, Mina Kimes is the best. I love her. And I told her this, and Mina, I look in the face, you know football. And I know Mina hasn't taken a snap because I didn't see her on any practice squads or any rosters. And I knew what you were saying. You were saying that there's a locker room thought and there's an analyst thought. And that's what people don't understand. Nick Saban could tell me what's about to happen on third down. Bro, Nick Saban's not about to go tackle this man in the flat. But he could tell me what their approach is. And that's when you said it, that's what I thought about. Like, okay, it's the locker room, the player thought, and it's analyst thought. Bruh, Mina, Yates, Schefter, they know football, bro. And I will be comfortable listening to them talk about football. And I think that's what you're saying, but it's a different approach to locker room side and that side. You correct me if I'm wrong. When I watched it, was that what you were saying?
No, it's a lot of value in journalists, but what people have to also understand is that this man studied journalism in school. He kind of prepped to be to where he is. That's why he's so fucking good at it. So the consumer of sports media, right? What do they want? What do they prefer? Do they want a journalist who has relationships? They gotta fact check sources and depend on accuracy there? Or do they want real life experiences and storytelling, right? As a consumer of sports media, what might I gravitate to the most? Is one of the questions we can ask ourselves, right? But I think in that particular day and moment, ESPN was at its best. I don't know how the setup came about, how people felt about that, wondering if that's allowed in, you know, as teammates, right, of the show. But at that moment, you guys kind of pinpointed the two different perspectives. You got one directly from the journalist and what he was thinking. You got one from yourself as a former player and what the locker room is about. And that's why ESPN has been around for forever. Like, it ain't just basic. That was great media for me, right? If they had played it out and allowed it to go forward, then people would have really understood what your thought was and where Peter was. So I didn't have a problem with it. I think we need more of it. You know, the journalist point of view versus or non-player journalist point of view, which still doesn't invalidate their perspective or opinion because they study the game. Mina, you mentioned it, she studies the game. And as a former player, you've played it, you see it a lot quicker, you can see it a lot of times before it happens, and you study the game, right? Everybody's gonna get the same outline, the thoughts, and you gather your thoughts and you kind of build on that. So I mean, man, Peter's been great, he's built his way up in the media world, man, and he's gonna only continue to grow. Same with you, RC, so man, let's move on.
I think what's cool about it is it starts a good conversation, right? Of in the media, when we look at analysts, people who played the game against people who didn't, I think you both have to put in the correct amount of work in order to be good at your job. Mina does that, Shefty does that, Phil does that, Peter does that, Stephen A does that, right? You have to put in your work in order to be able to not only analyze the sport from an X's and O's standpoint, but also from the entire ecosystem that goes into the culture of playing sports, right? You have to be able to do that. And some of the best in our game have never stepped on a court, never stepped on a football field. I think the other piece of it was a former player spoke about what I said and said that that comment came from insecurity or people don't want to hear about our stories. That's exactly why we get the jobs we get. Mm-hmm. People want to hear about what it's like to be in a locker room in that moment. People want to hear about what it's like to lose the big game or give up the big play or make the big play or win the game. That's what it's about. It doesn't make people who haven't played the game's insight less valuable. It just makes it different. Mm-hmm. And I think it's okay that sometimes the non-player points out the differences between us. Stephen A recently says, okay, Cam and RC, that's the player perspective. Let me give you the media perspective. And as someone who works in media now, I didn't take offense to that and say, well, I'm media too. No, you've done this your entire life. You have an insight into media and journalism, even though I studied it in school, that I don't have. I want to listen to that and lock in. And so I do think it's about understanding who you're working with, how you're working with them, and how you can make them better in the way that you support them, set them up, interact with them, converse with them. And I think that's what should be taken away from that. We can make great TV together if we do it the right way. And I believe that's why ESPN is as good as it is now and why it continues to work. But like, it ain't a fight, you know, it's a collaboration.
Conversation, a collaboration. Mina Kimes needs a GM job.
Fellas, man, I can't believe that it's week 3 already. But guess what? Toyota is still all in all season. And this week, man, it's the Kansas City Chiefs at the New York Giants. And somebody got to win. I mean, they 0-2, and it's a time for our fans to win too. You can win a $200 Oakley gift card.
Toyota makes it easy, fellas. All you got to do is predict big plays every single week. We got 22 weeks this year. Toyota's all in. We're going deeper and deeper into the NFL with Toyota, and they are going to watch out for you.
Hey, yo, so we're elevating our Team Toyota athletes. And speaking of the Giants Chiefs, they're even working with Eli Manning. Y'all got to tap in.
And y'all don't miss out. Visit toyota.com/NFL to see all you can get. Learn more about it for the entire season of the NFL.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Ends on February 8th, 2026. Open to legal residents of the 50 U.S. states and D.C. 18 and over. For complete details, how to enter, prizes, and official rules, visit www.toyotasgameDayGiveaways.com.
Speaking of collaborations, not fights, we had the fight of the year, right? Canelo, Bud moves up 2 weight classes and wins. Is Bud the greatest?
Man, I don't have enough wherewithal in the sports world of boxing to really make that statement. So it goes back to the non-player versus player. If I were a boxer, I'd probably make that statement and say, you know, how I feel about Bud. But it's so tough, man. My credibility in boxing would be invalid. But I would say this, he fought his ass off. Mm-hmm. He fought a monster in Canelo who's so experienced, and you know, both of them put their legacy on the line. Bud really showed people where his mindset was and where his heart was in that challenge, going up, you know, just leaving everything on the line. His entire legacy was at stake right there. And let's just say if he did lose, what would people say? Mm-hmm. What would the response be? You know, a challenge. He flipped boxing from unlike what we're used to seeing, where guys have been known to not want to fight anybody. But I say, nah, fuck that. Let's go do it. I'm gonna go do it. He put his trust in himself. He went up and he did it. And I wouldn't say he shocked the world because after we saw we studied Bud for the Errol fight in the interviews back then, I started to pay more attention to it. That's a bad man, bro. Yeah. He's a bad boy.
You said the greatest of what? Of the 30-year-olds? Bro, what you talking about? The greatest boxer of all time?
Yeah.
Bro, I love Bud. We went to where we had to go to Arizona,
Colorado.
some fucking where, Colorado to see Bud. Yeah. Bro, Bud is a bad human being. He is a serious human being. He can box his ass off. Did you just say he's better than Floyd and Ali and Tyson?
I asked a question.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if you was leading into that. He's
no.
Oh, then you got to go back to Hearns and
yeah.
Bud. You say top 10. Now it seems bad to say top 10. I think Bud is top 10. But I won't say Mike. Bud is the top 10 boxer. But the best ever? No. Ali, Floyd, Tyson. Them boys, I can't say Sugar Ray Leonard. I can't say Bud is better than them at their jobs. And I don't know. And Bud, please don't get mad at me because you're dangerous. But bruh, he's not RC now. He's not. He ain't. I don't think he's top 5 boxer. I think he's very good at his job.
One, I was excited to see Bud perform the way he performed against Canelo. I think boxing needed that fight. Yeah. I think Bud showed up in the way he was supposed to. I think Canelo did as well. And the respect between the two men is what boxing is supposed to be. I can't talk about all the eras of boxing because I haven't seen them all, but I've seen Hagler Hearns. I've seen Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. Like I've seen all of those things and those fights were wars. Floyd Mayweather is the best boxer I've ever seen. He's the most skilled boxer I've ever seen. Bud, and this is just my opinion, is the baddest man I've seen wear boxing gloves. And here's why I say that.
RC.
Here's why I say that. Bud is extremely skilled, right? Yet not as skilled as Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather made people look foolish, right? And so if I had to say who's the greatest I've seen, and Bud said it right, the best of an era and the best of an era, it's Floyd. But when I watched Bud against Canelo, there was this extreme skill on display, and there was a level of crazy that's different. There was a level of, and Floyd's extremely tough. Go back to Shane Mosley and the 2 punches he landed early in the fight and the way that he embarrassed him. I'm not saying that Floyd's not tough. Floyd's not a bad man. But there was domination inside that ring we saw this weekend. Yeah. And there's no fear in him in the way that he's attacked gaining notoriety. Bud's been the baddest man for 12 years. But no one gave him credit because he didn't go tell you he was the baddest man. He didn't market that. He just went out and fought and beat people and knocked people out. So he had to move up and take the bigger fights and the better fights. And he was Errol Spence. We realized just how great he was. Canelo cemented him on what is the two-headed monster that marks the greatest of the 2000s. Floyd Mayweather is on that. And Bud Crawford is right next to him. I don't think we have to pick on who's better. I think they both dominated their eras equally.
I think Bud has the violence of Tyson with the skill of Floyd. But I don't think he jumps either one of those guys. Which is crazy to say. You know what I'm saying?
Bud's better than Mike Tyson.
So Bud's a better boxer.
Bud Crawford had a better career than Mike Tyson. And for whatever reasons that they were, out of the ring things he was dealing with in life, Mike Tyson's career is not Bud Crawford's career. Bud Crawford was as violent as a little man as Mike Tyson was as a big man. And then as Bud Crawford continued to age, he continued to get better. He continued to have a level of professionalism that matched the Floyd Mayweather in the way that they approach their work. Mike Tyson didn't, and that's all a part of resume and who you are as it accounts to greatness.
What defines better? Is it skills, resume, dominance, or like the impact of the sport?
What did Jim Gray say?
Or credibility, because Canelo said Bud was better than Floyd. So if we're talking about player versus non-player in media, and now you have a boxer who's been in the ring with both, he has a chance to give you his point of view. Do we trust his credibility?
I trust Canelo's credibility 100%. I think Canelo Alvarez's opinion is more valid than the three of ours or anybody else who's analyzing boxing that's never been inside the ring with both of those men. I think Canelo Alvarez felt like he was a better, more experienced, stronger Canelo Alvarez when he fought Bud Crawford than when he fought Floyd Mayweather. I also think that we're all human. And the level in which we respect and like somebody plays into how we see and speak of them.
That's true.
I don't think Canelo felt like he had the respect level and relationship, working business relationship with Floyd Mayweather that he has with Bud. And that's not to say that he didn't give his true opinion of what he felt about both men. But to be honest, he was made to look foolish in both fights. Both men thoroughly dominated Canelo Alvarez in different points of his career. But you can absolutely see that what Bud and Canelo shared from a respect level was different from what Floyd Mayweather and Canelo shared. Yeah. Floyd Mayweather sold fights. Bud Crawford does not act.
Boxes.
Bud Crawford has no drama to him. Errol Spence and Bud Crawford, when they weighed in, they were talking to each other. They were thanking each other for the opportunity to make that money, to make that fight. Same thing with Canelo. It wasn't about the money, but it was the respect of what you've accomplished and what I've accomplished. Floyd Mayweather was the greatest. He was going to tell you he was the greatest, and he was going to sell a fight and call you a C fighter and a B fighter or whatever it was until the end of the fight. And I think it made it hard for people to love and like him.
Something just stood
and
out.
Canelo
right
said that after he got that left from Bud, his face was stretched out like a mangrove snapper.
And he looked at him like this here?
He went to peeking out that side of that right eye and said, ooh.
That's a meme forever. But RC, you said something that kind of jumped out again, man. You said Floyd sold fights. Jim Gray, he made a comment saying Floyd ruined the sport of boxing because of the zeros. And that has something to do with Floyd selling fights and the way Floyd got paid. And now all the other boxers are trying to be like Floyd, which has, I guess, according to Jim Gray, watered down the sport of boxing. I personally think that the promoters, the networks, they should be to blame.
It's all separated.
They should be to blame before any blame is placed on Floyd. Floyd was so great in the 50-0, the boxers are chasing that. And they're trying to chase the bag. But you gotta understand, Floyd didn't allow the promoters and the networks to pimp him. You feel me? Floyd took advantage of the vultures. He understood the game. He understood the assignment. And now everybody else trying to do what he did, they can't copy that blueprint. They can't copy it anymore because it's only one Floyd, in my opinion.
Well, I think though, like Floyd Mayweather was about his priorities. Floyd's priorities were money. I'm gonna make the most money I possibly can. He did that. And it was, I want to be the greatest boxer ever. And to him, that had to do with having a zero in the loss column. I don't think it necessarily ruined boxing, but it did make the way we saw greatness in his time and his era different, which is what makes Bud Crawford special. Because Bud Crawford, in moving up and taking the best fights and fighting the best fighters he could possibly get to agree to fight him, he's put that zero on the line. When you move up 2 divisions or 3 divisions, actually based on where he fought mostly, you're saying, I don't want you to come down because I don't want you compromised. I don't need a rehydration clause. I want to fight you at your very best.
Right.
And fighting you at your very best, I'm going to take what you got. Floyd set the blueprint, and now Bud Crawford, to me, has upped it. And so now what's the next dude going to do, and what's your excuse going to be?
Let me speak on this real fast. 72 Dolphins, undefeated. Steph and Clay and them, best record in NBA history. You know what I'm saying? Never losing means something. Not losing means something. The best record ever means something, and that's what Floyd was chasing. Was Floyd running from fights? If you show me fights Floyd was running from, then I'll say, okay, you're right. But chasing greatness, chasing to be the best in history of a sport, I can't badmouth nobody about that.
Well, can I ask y'all about this though? Didn't it feel like Bud was much more receptive to Angel Reese in his locker room than he was to us? You remember when we went to Bud locker room, yeah. Chan, you was ready to run out. When I walked in, I spoke to him and I was like, man, it is really silent in here, and he don't look like he want to say hello to us, like talking about it. Angel Reese walked in, he took a picture, and then he put on a song. He had to put a new song on his. I thought, hey, Chad,
he had a Reese playlist.
I thought to myself, Bud ain't focused like he was focused for Errol Spence, or was it that like I can't wear that outfit?
Went out and whooped Canelo.
you needed the outfit, but now but this is a guy who, you know, the Spence fight. He wasn't sure where he was at, right? That was a big fight at that time for him. This fight, he said, as soon as he signed the contract, he knew he was winning. He went and bought a rollie and put 42-0 on the back.
He got 100 M's.
So he
got 100 M's for that fight.
He was focused on the fight. He wasn't focused on the fight. He was focused on that all black. Bud ain't crazy, boy.
Angel Reese had on the bodysuit. I should have wore a bodysuit.
You should have.
If I'd have wore a bodysuit,
you still got the knees. Your knees still ragged.
If I'd have walked in with them knock knees with that bodysuit on,
nah,
with the V-neck,
nah. Hey, speaking of Baltimore, isn't that where Angel's from? B-Moore?
Yes.
Shador had an opportunity to be drafted by the Ravens, but allegedly he turned it down. What y'all think about that?
Why would you want to go back up a Hall of Famer? Like, Lamar Jackson is about to be a Hall of Famer. He's an MVP. He's going to be multiple MVP. He's a young guy. I don't want to say he changed the game because Vic did it back in the day. Even we can go back to Randall Cunningham, just athletic gunslingers. But he had no chance to ever start in Baltimore. And I've heard the pushback and all. He can beat out Dylan Gabriel. Mm-hmm. RC has solidified that name in my mind. He can beat out Joe Flacco. Joe, I love you. He's not going to beat out Lamar Jackson. Why would you want to go there to sit behind Lamar Jackson for 4 years and go and now sign a contract with somebody else? He has a better chance of playing with Cleveland. I think it was a good idea. I think Prime knows that. I think his agent knows that. There's no reason for a guy with Shador Sanders' ability to go sit behind Lamar Jackson for 4 years. You'll never beat him out because he's a Hall of Famer.
No, I agree. I think people have looked at the Shador thing and say, hey, why wouldn't you want to go learn under Lamar Jackson? And that makes total sense if you want to be a career backup. Lamar Jackson, and I think we have to put this in perspective, there's never been a more explosive, dynamic, talented runner at the quarterback position than Lamar Jackson. There's also not been a more statistically efficient passer of the football outside of Aaron Rodgers than Lamar Jackson. And I feel like sometimes you're so good at one thing, people don't give you credit for the other thing. He just needs the Super Bowl because Lamar Jackson is historically great at football. Not like just a little bit. Lamar Jackson, how I talked about it, Lamar Jackson is truly a generational talent at the quarterback position. He just needs that one trophy so it could be solidified. If I'm Shedeur Sanders, one, other than how hard he works, his dedication to the game, the way that he prepares, I can't really learn from Lamar Jackson and watching him play because I can't do none of what he does. That does not help me grow. And guess what? He's going to do it for the next decade at a high level because he's going to run 4.4 when he's 35 anyway. So I'm never going to play. So why would I want to go there? That doesn't make sense to me. And I know people want to shape it like Shedeur doesn't want to compete and it makes him a bad guy. No, it makes him smart. It makes his people smart. It makes his father smart because the dude playing in Baltimore is like truly that dude. So I believe Shedeur made the right decision because there's a possibility you get on the field in Cleveland. There's not a possibility that that happens as long as Lamar Jackson is walking upright.
First of all, I don't understand why the Ravens would even want to draft Shedeur right there at that point in time. We talk about fit, scheme, systems. Shedeur is not anywhere close to Lamar Jackson in terms of athleticism. Now you're going to have Todd Monken, who gets paid a ton of money to be creative and dial up stuff for Lamar that'll help, make Lamar Jackson the MVP. We got to change schemes, and I got to go drop back for Shedeur. Again, I don't understand the whole fact that they wanted to draft him there. Shedeur has nothing to do with competition or running away from competition. He wants to go to a place where he can go and compete to be a day one starter. That was the opportunity he was looking for. If I go past Baltimore, if he would have gone past Cleveland, now he has an opportunity to go and make up his own mind and make his own decision in free agency, possibly after 2 more rounds, to go and do whatever he wanted to do. The media makes a big noise about it, keeping it real. I think Shedeur is smart. Their camp is smart. He made the right decision, landing in Cleveland, a place that has struggled over the last couple of years with quarterback play. And you just put yourself in position to go and start. As RC said, that ain't happening in Baltimore unless a big-time injury, which we don't want to happen to LJ, happens. So,
Bruh, it's going to back up you when you got in the league. Go be 230 and run a 4.28. You can't do it. No one could be Fred Taylor when you got in the league. No one could be Lamar Jackson. I wouldn't want to back your ass up.
No, this is crazy. So Jim Irsay's daughter now wears headsets. We talked about this last week, right? Not a big deal. She wants to be able to hear, listen. Tom Brady wears a headset in Las Vegas. Watching the Monday Night Football game, Chip Kelly sitting on the front row calling plays, and Tom Brady has a headset on. One, Tom Brady over your shoulder is crazy.
That's nuts.
2, Tom Brady gets to call other games and have insight into other organizations because he's on TV. And now you're also in the headset. Now you're in that building. Initially, there were all these rules that said like Tom couldn't do certain things, but how you feel about that, Freddie T? That's your guy.
You know what, man? It looks like they're moving the goalposts. I don't know if you should be able to do all of that stuff, but he's Tom Brady, man. It's tough, but it looked crazy. And they even talked about it on the broadcast and studies say, when Tom's around Chip, they have great conversations about scheme and this and that and all those different things. It would be crazy if Tom can actually send messages down to Chip Kelly throughout the course of the game. That would be crazy.
He ain't got to send him down, Fred. He's this close to him.
You know what? I did see that.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. My bad. Run that back because I thought Chip was on the field, but I did see him in the box.
Yeah.
We talking about the Raiders team.
But how much of the system does he know?
Couldn't score a touchdown.
Maybe he have.
Are we talking about the Raiders team that couldn't score a touchdown against the Chargers?
Yes.
Yeah.
That team.
That's working? 9 points?
The thing is, we
He
don't,
hitting them in the head. We could all get together. Let's hug with no shirts on. 9 points in a game, it's not working. I do think it's a competitive advantage. I don't have a problem with Tom sitting there in the booth. I do have a problem with Tom being able constructually to ask other teams' players about certain situations. That's the thing. Hey man, they got Keenan Allen over here. How do y'all believe that y'all gonna cover Keenan Allen? I have a problem with that. But the team that scored 9 points, it doesn't seem like it's working that well because they can't put the ball in the end zone. Geno's overthrowing people. Love you to death, Geno. I've said it 100 times a day. I think I'm just hurting people's feelings. It's not working.
So I'm gonna say this. Tom can't have every damn thing.
Yes, he can. He's Tom Brady.
I think Tom Brady has to make a choice. He's going to have to make a choice of whether or not he's going to own a team or he's going to be on the A team of a network that calls games. When Tom Brady is sitting behind Chip Kelly, there's no way you can't tell me when he has those headphones on, he's not listening, taking notes, and saying to himself, during the week, I'm going to talk about this. What happens when Tom Brady calls a game and the Raiders are playing this team and he's in the building throughout the week and he hears Chip Kelly say something and he says, well, I talked to player X and this is the way he said that they're approaching it. Or I talked to this coach and this is the way that this coach is approaching it. This is not Carly Ursay Gordon standing on the sideline so she can have a better understanding. This is the greatest quarterback of all time that regardless of how hard he worked, TB12, eating avocado ice cream, he beat you because of this. There's no man in the world, probably outside of Peyton Manning, that could process football the way that this man could process football. That could take a little bit of a snippet from what I heard from this player, from what I heard of this coach, and build an entire game plan around it. And you're gonna let that dude have on headphones? You're gonna let that dude be a part of an organization and then throughout the weeks go study other teams based on what other teams tell him? You can't have it. There is, even if there isn't a competitive advantage to it, it's something that this team now has that nobody doesn't. It's already smart to have Tom Brady in the building, but to have Tom Brady in your building when he has access to what's going on in other buildings is a level of unfair that if we're trying to protect the shield, it has to be looked at because that dude with more information is scary. Hey, there's a reason that Spygate worked.
He made Spygate work. They scored 9 points last week, fellas. What are y'all talking about?
He ain't covered the charges this year. He wasn't in Brazil.
Let's go Trips bunch and throw it to Bowers. I watched the game, Bowden. What's the white boy's name?
He go fix that.
Oh, he better fix it quick.
A question then. Tom Brady's the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
Greatest of all time. I don't have there's no argument about that. There's one player in football right now who, in my opinion, has an opportunity to surpass him, and that's Patrick Mahomes. I recently talked to Rich Kleiman, and he asked me a question. He said, is Patrick Mahomes still the best quarterback in football?
Patrick's still very elite. I think you have a few guys that are narrowing the gap in that conversation. We were just talking about Lamar Jackson, and the other guy is Josh Allen. You know, the guy who's still chasing after Patrick, trying to beat him to get to the Super Bowl. Patrick's been the one that's denied him a few times. Until then, I'm gonna still continue to give it to Patrick because those guys who I named haven't beat him yet. Until they beat him, he's still the best quarterback in football.
Patrick Mahomes has the most talented arm in football, and one of the top arms I've ever seen. We can go back to Joe Montana and all those guys. He can spin that thing. That's the phrase I always use. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson right there with him, but the way they play the game, it doesn't have the longevity of Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes will be great longer than Josh Allen and Lamar because sooner or later, them 30-year-old legs, them 32-year-old legs are going to run out and they're going to have to throw it, and Pat's going to be able to throw it better. But as we sit here today, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the world.
Wow.
Who won the MVP last year?
Who should have won the MVP?
Who won the MVP last year?
He wasn't first team All-Pro either.
Josh Allen, as we sit here today, is the best quarterback that plays football.
That's your opinion.
Foot with the feet and the shoulders. Josh Allen.
Okay.
So
Big man.
I'm gonna say this: Patrick Mahomes is still the best quarterback in football. I think you drop Patrick Mahomes in any situation and that team immediately becomes better. Here's the problem we face now with Patrick Mahomes. We have fatigue.
Yeah.
He's been great for so long, and he was great the first time we saw him for real. The first time he replaced Alex Smith in the last game of the season, he threw for 300 yards. His first season as a starting quarterback, he threw for 50 touchdowns. He was the MVP, and he lost to the greatest of all time in the AFC Championship. The first time we saw Lamar, he was great when he replaced Joe Flacco. He won the MVP the next year. Lamar had that sort of trajectory based on what he was doing, but he didn't win immediately in the big games. He didn't show up in the big moments. That's what Patrick did. That's what put Patrick on the great trajectory. Not to mention, outside of Aaron Rodgers, he's the best thrower of the football in the modern era of football. Now, here's what we've seen. When Patrick Mahomes became Patrick Mahomes right away and very early, everybody else was having to do this, right? When you're already this tall, the ceiling is much closer to you if the ceiling's here than it is to the people that are this tall. Josh Allen has closed that gap. Lamar Jackson, the gap was shorter. He has closed that gap, but they still got to go beat him. We've seen both Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson have, in our opinions, better teams than Patrick Mahomes. And in those situations, Patrick Mahomes has found a way to win. It's easy to pile on to them when they're 0-2. But you turn on the film, it ain't because of 15. And yes, he's missed some throws. Patrick Mahomes, to me, is still the best quarterback in football. And then it's Lamar Jackson, and then it's Josh Allen. And I think it's a precipitous fall off from there. There's a gap between everybody else, but I ain't putting nobody over Pat right now. And I think when we putting these lists together, we got to put respect on who he still is and what he's already done.
Shout out Jalen Hurts. You in there too, my boy.
Man, it's been cool to chop it up with you boys. If there's anything else that's sort of on your mind that you want to share, you know, this is a cool time to share it as we head out. I thought it was good with, you spoke about your father, Fred. You spoke about your growth. I think those are things people can take things from.
Yeah, I think what jumps out to me is real quick, just Channing's loyalty. I thought you were a friend because I thought you were a Gator forever, but you disappointed me. I just wanted to tell you that to your face. I just wanted to tell you that to your face.
Was I right?
It doesn't matter. You were unloyal.
Fred, was I right? Did the Gators get their ass? Did the Gators get their ass?
It doesn't make you right.
It does.
You were unloyal.
Fred, I said LSU was gonna win and they won.
Well, Chan, it's cool that you're on the winning side, though. I got that sweatshirt for Freddie T. I got a hat for Freddie T. By the way, just want to give it to you right here. Hey, fighting Tigers, fight all the way. Play fighting Tigers, win the game today. You've got the know-how, you're doing fine. Hang on to the ball as you hit the wall and smash right through the line. You got to go for the go, run up the score. Make Mike the Tiger stand right up and roar. Roar, give all your might as you fight tonight and keep the goal in view. Victory for LSU. T-I-G-E-R. Tigers! And I want to say thank you to all the people in the purple and gold and DJ Lagway. All right.
That's a fuck-ass song.
Where's Alicia when you need
You
her?
ain't gotta sing it.
Where's Alicia? Cut all of that. Cut it.
I wanna say this. I was talking recently, like, you don't really know what people are going through. Kindness is an important commodity in life. And Tuesday, we had Steve Harvey on the show, and I was actually having this conversation with somebody else. I don't know if we've ever been treated that way, right? I think the first thing to me was the fact that his right-hand woman, Miss Megan, who didn't like that I called her Miss Megan, had been working with him for 30 years. Yep. That sort of loyalty as you become something you probably never dreamed of is important. From the time that we got there, everyone who worked broke their necks to make us feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. Whether it was breakfast, freaking drinks, the way he treated us, Freddie T, once the show was over, we canceled flights because of his hospitality. We were supposed to leave early and he was like, nah, I want you guys to eat. I want to share these gems with you. He hit us to so much business. And it was one of those moments where you learn, no matter how big you get, no matter how successful you are, how much money you make, to treat people with kindness is of more value than all of that. Of everything I've watched him do, I have no more respect for anything than who he was as a human. It was a great show. It did amazing things for us, but the way he treated us, like, definitely changes. Yep. Not that I saw him in any negative way or any negative light, but it definitely sort of amplified what I thought of Steve Harvey. It's been a cool week, fellas. This was a great conversation. Pivot fam, thank y'all for pivoting with us. See y'all on Tuesday. Where were you when you got the call that Tiger was on Bourbon Street doing a terrorist attack on January 1st?
Yeah, so I was at my Uncle Brett's house. I was up there for the whole pre-draft process, trained up there in Dallas. So I was at his house in Grapevine. I was sleeping on the couch that night. Me and him were gonna wake up, we're gonna play some golf that next morning. Exos and all that stuff was closed. So we're gonna just go kick it, chill night. And I wasn't out and about, I was just chilling at his crib, cooked some dinner, slept on the couch, woke up around 5 a.m. to my phone getting spammed with my sister's fiance, Jordan. I kind of silenced him once, twice, and he called again. So I finally answered him. And he had told me that Tiger was out on Bourbon. There was a terrorist attack and that they couldn't find him. So I checked my brother's location and his phone was just sitting on Bourbon Street. So A, he either took off and his phone fell out, or B, something bad happened to him.
When did you guys finally find him and know what sort of condition Tiger was in?
Yeah, so it was about 3.5, 4 hours later. We had called like every hospital within the whole area, like 10 different hospitals, just like giving them the description of my brother. Please call us back if y'all find somebody. Oshner called us and they told us that they had somebody of that description, and my dad was in the New Orleans area just waiting for that call. And so they brought him in and they're like, you can't see him right now, he's in ICU getting surgery. But they brought him out this watch, actually. And once he brought this watch out, my dad got this for him for graduation, like a year after he graduated, because obviously Rolexes aren't cheap. So my dad had to save up and put money away for a few years to get this for him. And so whenever they brought it out, he was able to be like, yeah, that's my son in there.
Yeah, what does it mean to you now, though, man, to be able to have that watch and have a piece of your brother with you?
Oh, man, everything, because not only is it, you got the scratch marks and you got the dried up blood and you got all that, and I'm never going to wash it. I'm never going to fix it. I'm going to keep it just the way it is. So, I mean, it's definitely, like, every time I look back at it, just knowing, like, he died in this watch, I mean? It was around his wrist when he got hit. And just like I said, it's just another one of those reminders. Just always just keep on pressing and then know that, like, this isn't for me. This is for my brother. This is for my family. This is for all the people who have helped me get to this point in my life.
What your weight room look like when you was in high school?
Not like this. It's a high school? Boy, these boys spoiled.
Jack Best, man, thank you for welcoming us to your home, St. Thomas More. Where the story all started for you. This is Fred Taylor's Channing Crowd. I'm Ryan Clark, Pivot Fam. Thank you so much for pivoting with us today. Our guest is Jack Best. Jack, man, I just want to talk about being here, though. Tell me some of your first memories of seeing St. Thomas More play, and also your brother Tiger being on this field.
Yeah, I would say some of the first memories are my brother out here playing. I remember going just way back. My brother, he obviously passed away a few months ago, but just growing up, he's the one who taught me how to play ball, have that mentality, that dog mentality that's carried me on up to this point, that's going to keep carrying me on. But some of the first memories are just coming here, not even games, just watching him come out here and work. Being a young kid, him out here by himself, just running stadiums, getting work in, bringing me along with him. I'm 9 years old, learning what hard work is, determination. So some of my first memories around here are just really on the practice field, watching him do his thing.
That Louisiana football, because Fred and myself, Florida guys, and RC holds up this Louisiana football like it's up there with Florida. Like the,
We're supposed to split the room.
yeah, split the room.
Hey, that's good. I'm not trying to come to that side.
As Fred has his national championship Gator shirt on, right now. But just I've heard you say that other times, just that dog mentality, that thought of it. Is he painting us a picture when he tells us how serious football is out here?
I mean, he's painting you the whole picture. Man, football, everything to us. It's another religion. It's faith, family, and it's football. And you just go down the list of people, starting from here to New Orleans. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and it's not that far between here and New Orleans. But now we got real dogs from Louisiana, so yeah.
When I first came in, I told you we could cut the room kind of like this in an L shape. RC was undrafted. We don't expect you to be undrafted. But that's a whole nother story. Do people think you're weird yet? Because I saw somewhere where you said, Kobe Bryant said, you have to work so hard. You have to want it so much when you're chasing greatness that people next to you will think you're weird. Have you gotten to that point yet?
I don't think I've gotten to that point with everybody, but I think some people have definitely seen that, going from football practice, catching jug machines, it didn't matter if it was raining, dry outside, super hot, super cold, sleeting. I'm on that jug machine after practice. Every day. Amon-Ra St. Brown said he would catch like 212 balls after every practice. And I've always just kept that in my mind, hearing that. So every day, now I'm not worried about outworking the dude next to me. I know I'm going to do that. I'm worried about outworking them dudes in the league. So just keeping that in mind. I'm getting that number. I'm surpassing that number. I'm trying to do that, every day. And to go on the show, end up having the best hands in the country, just speaking stats. But that wasn't just coming from nowhere. That's hard work every day. Every day after practice, out there in the weight room, going the hardest, running the hardest. Just every day doing it, coming in with that mentality to get better, and never being satisfied, with somebody outworking me, and just always getting that extra lick on them no matter what.
You talk about going the extra, and I love what you said about your first memories here. Is not the games, but watching your brother work. And I can only think of some of the conversations you had during that time. I want to get to a different conversation. Your brother was a fighter. Even on January 1st, in the hospital with your parents, he was still fighting. You had an opportunity to get on the phone, and you said you felt like he could hear you. Tell me a little bit about what that last conversation was like with your brother.
Man, so I didn't really know if that was gonna be my last conversation, with him. I knew that he was in bad shape, but I didn't realize how bad it really was. I knew that they had him in the hospital, he was alive, he was breathing, but I didn't know there was a machine really, making him stay awake so the priest could come give him the final blessing, stuff like that. And I feel like that was a big reason, he was able to make it into heaven. But that last conversation, I just told him that I loved him, that I'll see him soon, to keep fighting, to keep going. Like you said, he's a fighter. I didn't have to tell him that, but, because that's who he is, just how he's been since he was a baby. But I just told him, keep going, keep fighting, that I'll be there soon, to be with him and to see him and how much I loved him. And I told him I loved him. Those are the last words I ever told him. And then about probably 10 minutes later, I was with my uncle and my aunt, my Uncle Brett, who he played in the league and played at LSU and stuff like that. But he and my aunt, they kind of looked at me 10 minutes later and shook their heads. So, it was definitely a pretty vivid conversation I had with them. I remember it really well. That was my built-in best friend. Me and him were like this, good news, bad news, indifferent. I'm calling him. He's the first person I'm calling, and he's always picking up the line no matter what. You know, like you said, though, he was a fighter, though. And, yeah, last words I ever told him were I love him to keep fighting. So that's what I'm going to live with now from now on, is just keep fighting, keep going no matter the circumstance, but just keep on going.
And you talk about the dog mentality. You talk about outworking everybody, the judge machine, everything you do. The timing that it happened when you just declared, you know what I'm saying, you're about to go into either another level of football. What kind of battery did it put in your back with already having that grind, with now knowing that your brother's watching down on you and seeing the success you're gonna have?
Yeah, it's been like a whole different presence about me. You know what I mean? Like I tell these teams, you know, they not only get me, they get Tiger too. You know, it's a 2-for-1 special deal. Even just going back to the Senior Bowl, you know, I just felt like I was out there. I just couldn't lose no matter what. You know, I just had this extra presence about me. You know, and then just late nights, you know what I mean, early mornings, waking up to go grind throughout this whole pre-draft process. It's really just pushed me, and it's taken me to places that I didn't even know my body could go to. I've always worked hard, ran the extra mile, but this definitely like put a whole new level to that, but just a whole new mindset of just like, man, like I don't care who's in front of me, like I'm gonna win regardless of what's going on.
How has that situation changed your outlook on life, if any?
It's a whole new perspective. You know, I've always been big into my faith. I've always believed in God, you know, that extra realm. But now, I mean, I know it's for real. I mean, everybody might have that little doubt, you know, till Jesus got to carry that cross for you. You know what I mean? But he's carried it, and I've seen just all the different things that he's done in my life and my family's life through the passing of my brother. Man, I just know it's all for real now. I wake up every morning, thank God for waking me up. Every night before I go to sleep, thank God for the day. No matter if it was a good or a bad day, to just find the good in every day. But like I said, man, I just know, like, it's real, like 100%. Like, my brother's in heaven, God is real. Like, that's my ultimate goal is to get there, you know what I mean? Is to get to heaven, and is to keep just growing my platform, just keep bringing more and more people, you know, to his word and to his goodness, so.
Yeah, you went to school here at St. Thomas More. It's a Catholic high school, and part of going to these sort of high schools, I went to Archbishop Shaw, is faith is a large deal in these schools. The celebrations, the graduations, all of those things incorporate some sort of mass, some sort of blessing, some sort of prayer. You already had that foundation of faith, but how much did you have to draw on that in losing your brother?
Everything I had and more. You know what I mean? The only way me and my family are getting through this, have gotten through it, are getting through it, and will get through it, is because of our faith. You know what I mean? If we didn't have our faith, we'd be in shambles. You know, I can't even speak on where we'd be right now if our faith, you know, wasn't where it's at. It's everything, you know, from the way we handle this situation. You know, the worst thing we could ever imagine happened. You know, we turned it into something good. You know, we just showed people how good God was throughout the whole thing and brought people, you know, closer to him. And the amount of people that have came up to us and said that they weren't believers, but now they are because of us, you know, has been really special. You know, and I feel like, you know, God does everything for a reason. And one of his reasons was for all of us to have this platform to keep bringing people closer to him.
You said that now with Tiger and God, that you feel that you'll be unbeatable. You also said that you'll be unbreakable. Can you talk a little bit more about how having both Tiger and God, but also having to learn how to get through this situation with God does make you feel unbreakable?
Yeah, I just feel like through so many different aspects and perspectives, you know, for example, catching the football is my job now. I hate dropping the football, you know what I mean? And I always am super hard on myself when I do it. And I always just try to get back to that next play mentality, but sometimes, like, it really pisses me off just dropping the ball. But now, you know, just going through all that, and it's just something little, but, like, man, this would be easy to wipe that off, you know, and to keep going. Just little things like that. And just knowing that, like, man, not every day is going to be good. You know, some days will be great, some days will be bad, some days will be right in the middle. But just knowing that, like, man, they got a plan for me. They're right here with me. You know, like, this next week, you know, a lot of people are stressed about, you know, where they're going to be living, where they're going. Man, I just know that my brother and God, they're finna put me in the perfect situation, the perfect place. So, like, I'm not worried if it's first round, fourth round, fifth round. I know they're gonna put me right where I need to be when I need to be there to go out to have a longevity career in the league. So, you know, I could take care of my family, my people the rest of my life.
During the Senior Bowl, you honored his legacy by wearing his number, and you delivered the game-winning touchdown. Can you describe those emotions and what that moment meant to you?
Yeah, man, it was the first time my people have smiled. You know, it was exactly 1 month away. So January 1st, my brother died. February 1st is whenever I scored that touchdown. And after like that game, that moment, it was the first time I seen all my people smile in a month. So man, just like the draft, man, the emotions were just everywhere from sad to happy. You know, just like I said, just so many emotions, just like and everything in between. That was just another moment, you know, signifying and stating that my brother is really with me and that God is really real. You know, my brother's name was written in the clouds above the stadium. There's different things like that. I mean, that stuff can't be made up. I mean, Hollywood couldn't have scripted it better.
I read the story about your brother's name being written up there. When did you see that?
I didn't see it till after.
Oh, okay.
But I did see, so 7, you know, 7 to heaven is a coin that one of our coaches here, Coach Lance Strother, who's played a huge part in my, in just my everything, you know, from faith, football, family. You know, he's helped me in all phases of life. But he coined the phrase 7 to heaven. You know, 7's one of the God's numbers, one of the numbers of perfection. So my brother wore it. I wore it in high school. I wore it during the Senior Bowl. And then, so I looked back at the clock, and the game clock was 7 seconds were left. And I just saw the foreseeable future. I was like, I'm about to catch the touchdown with no seconds left. 7 seconds were left on the clock. Yada, yada, yada. Just so many things happening. And then they showed me the picture after the game, like the day after, of my brother's name written in the clouds. So.
Post your brother's death, all the love that you've gotten and all the people that reach out to you, like did that hit you as how many people really care about you? Usually see how much love you have in bad times. And that added to a good time where you're catching touchdown passes about to go to the league, and then you said bad time right there. I won't say evening it out, but seeing that love you got.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that's a big topic my family and I have talked about, was just like, man, you wish you could know that without having to go through something tragic. You know, you wish you could know, like, for example, my brother, how many lives he touched, but without him having to, you know, pass away. You know, he touched thousands, tens of thousands of lives, but we had no idea, you know, until he passed. And then still all these letters from people started coming in, phone calls, text messages, flowers being sent with note cards. And same thing, like, you don't know really how much love and support you have until a moment like that. I mean, the amount of people that have just reached out, still reach out. My brother has friends who still call me just to make sure his spirit never lives. And that's something that we want to do a better job of, is just showing the people around us who we truly love and care about, you know, how much they mean to us.
That brings me to something very recent, Jack. You know, your last year at LSU was 22, and it was Kyron Lacey's first year. Recently, we just lost him as well. After dealing with and having to live through the tragedy of your brother, how does something like losing a former teammate affect you now?
Man, I was actually, so his girlfriend, I was on the phone with her a few days ago, because obviously, so she grew up in Lafayette, and we've been family friends with him for a while. And she was calling like all his real good friends and teammates that they were close with about, you know, just trying to tell stories, and calling me specifically just about how to get through everything, you know, just going through it, you know, me losing a brother, her losing her best friend. But man, I mean, Kyron was a brother to me, you know what I mean? Even whenever he was at UL, we used to go play Girard Park. I live near Girard Park, it's right on campus. We used to go hoop at Girard Park while he was at UL, because he was a year older than me. So he'd be on UL's campus while I was still home here. And then we ended up meeting back my sophomore year at LSU. And I mean, that dude, he just walked in the room and lit the room up. He can make anybody laugh. Not only that, dude was a dog on the field. You know, he just had them instincts not many people have. But now it's hard, definitely, you know, losing my brother and losing a friend like that. You know, just seeing how there's one thing can just completely just like dismantle somebody's whole track of life. It just, man, it hurts. And like everybody's been saying, I mean, just check in on those people. You know, mental health is real. You got to just make sure people are good around you. You know what I mean? Because you never know what people are dealing with. You know, I'm big on telling everybody I see, you know, if I know them or don't know them, what's up, giving them a smile, ask them how they're doing, just because you never know the demons people are fighting. You know what I mean? You never know what somebody, you know, they might have all the money in the world, all the fame, all the love, all the support, but like deep down in, you know, people got demons. I mean, everybody got them. And so I'm just big on, especially now, just seeing that in my brother, just all these different things happen, just like making sure the people around me are good and that, they're good, and their hearts are good up here. And just make sure that, everything's right.
Shannon would always say, nobody checks in on the funny person, right? They think they're okay. As you're checking in on everybody, there's so much on your shoulders with pressure moments of, exciting, but also pressure moments of getting ready for the NFL draft, and then also dealing with death. How was Jack?
So like I said, I'm big into my faith. Some people, like talking to people about like their feelings, their emotions. I'm big on just getting on my knees and praying when times get hard, and I feel like every time I do that, everything gets lifted. I would lie if I said, it's been easy. No, it's been real hard. It's been super hard. But I believe that everything I've gone through with my brother's death, all that adversity I faced in college, is getting me ready for this next step I'm about to take. This next part of my journey I'm about to go on, being in the NFL, just like I said earlier, just like knowing man, some days are gonna be great, some days are gonna be real bad. But just being able to keep that even peel, that dog mindset, that mindset of just F everybody, get better, and just keep going, keep pressing on, because people are depending on you and counting on you.
And you talking about like just adversity, really, different types of adversity, but going through, we're sitting here, what are we, an hour away from LSU? Mm-hmm. We're right here. You loved LSU, you want to go to LSU your whole life, and then that doesn't work out. Then you go to TCU, I think you ain't started a game your first year. Mm-hmm. Just like that whole process was, like just the adversity you've got through, it hardened you to having last season when you went crazy, set records and all that stuff. Like, take us through the process of being at LSU, that not working out, then TCU, and just, does that window is your college career is not a normal college career for a top receiver like yourself?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I said, it's definitely not been easy. Going to LSU my freshman year, ended up having a real good year my freshman year, ended up being a freshman All-American. Coach O was our coach, that's one of my favorite coaches ever. Man, you could run through a wall for him. Like I said, I'm indebted to Coach O. He gave me the opportunity to go to LSU and play ball. I got to experience Death Valley at night. I got to go to Alabama and play. I got to do like so many things on my bucket list. But then, he got fired. A new coaching staff came in, played under them for a year. And my mom always told me that, because it was hard leaving LSU, being from here, my uncle's playing there, my whole family going there, all my friends go there, family all around there. I mean, it was not easy leaving. But my mom always told me that God, he let me have a great year my freshman year. He let me experience all these different things, but that eventually that his plan was to bring me somewhere else and to experience something else and to bring me to TCU specifically, which ended up being the best decision I've ever made in my whole life. It's the reason I get to sit here now and talk to y'all, and I'll be drafted next week. Even going to TCU that first year, just still dealing with some little injuries and, just being a transfer, trying to learn the system and everything, like I said, it was hard. Sometimes I question being there, if I should have been back at LSU. And like I said, those times, just getting on my knees praying, just knowing God is going to take care of it. And then going to last year. And I think last year, the reason I was able to be so good is because it finally kicked in. Like, it didn't matter if I had a good game, if I went for 200 or if I went for 50. I was always the same person after the game. Maybe my parents would be mad because they wanted me to have a few more yards, but myself, I was always like even keel, like the same person. Just knowing that like my identity isn't only in me as a football player, but it's in Christ and God. It's everything I'm doing in the locker room. How I'm getting the guys going during the game, before the game, after the game, keeping their heads up after a loss, or just keeping their minds steady after a win, so.
Have you been here before? Were you cooking dinner at 3 years old? You're just above your time, man. Like the way you talk, articulate. Were you always this mature?
No, I would just say, with everything that's going on, it makes you take a step up, especially being that rock for my family. You know what I mean? Throughout everything, all that adversity. I definitely think like these years have been expedited. These past 4 years, I've learned so much. Like, I'm 22. I feel like I've gone through so much and I've been taught so many lessons that a 45-year-old hasn't even gone through yet. So, I feel like my years have been longing, but I've learned so much and I've soaked it all in. Just to not only be that better player, but that better, that better brother for my sisters, that better son for my parents, a better friend of my friends, and all those different things. So
Let's talk about something good for a second. You mentioned 22 years old as compared to a 45-year-old. That means you still got like 20 years to get to Fred. All right, that's way out there before you can get.
They forget they're in their 40s too.
You talked about Coach Orgeron, though. Obviously, at the time, you were going to LSU and going to be offered by LSU. It was kind of at the height of who he was as a coach. I think you were in here watching film with Walker, and you get the phone call, have to step out of the meeting, and he comes along with you. What sort of feeling did you get when you finally got the offer that you'd have an opportunity to play at Death Valley?
that was definitely one of those moments like damn, like, this real. It was crazy for sure. Cause like I said, man, I've always had two dreams and goals since I was a kid. It was to play at LSU, to make it to the NFL and take care of my family. So whenever I got that call, that was a dream coming true. You know what I mean? Like, it was a huge moment for not only me, like I said, my whole family went to LSU. Uncles that played at LSU, all my friends go to LSU. So, I mean, it was a huge moment, not only for me, but for everybody, my family, my friends, the city, the school. Like, it was huge, and just like, that was a very also vivid conversation I had with Coach Ho. It's one I'll never forget because, it really catapulted me, into what I'm doing now. Because my freshman year, especially going to LSU, was like, you got to grow up quick. You don't have time to just, like, you're a rookie, you're in the NFL, like, you're here for a reason, and you don't just have time to rest, or you don't have time to sit back and learn from the vets. Like you here to go make plays, you here to make the team better, to make the organization better. You know what I mean? So it made me grow, and that taught me so many lessons just in itself, which I'm so blessed to have, because I feel like I'm gonna have that right mentality, and I'm gonna attack this rookie year and all the years coming along the way it should be attacked.
What were the conversations like? You have an amazing freshman year, and I remember watching you that year, and you were like a hybrid, right? It was a little wide receiver, a little tight end. They weren't asking you to block a lot, but you know what I mean? Like, you were doing so many things. And then when you get a new coaching staff in, they don't necessarily have the vision for you that the previous coaching staff who offered you a scholarship had, right? So those things changed. You mentioned a dream coming true, getting to wear the purple and gold. How difficult was it to let that dream go and to say, this thing I've wanted my entire life is no longer for me?
Yeah, it was definitely hard. But like I said, like my mom said, I knew that in order to get to where I wanted to go, because like I said, like, it was like dream, like 2 is LSU, dream 1 is the league and to take care of my family, you know what I mean? So like the ultimate dream and goal is the NFL. That was just like a stepping stone dream along the way. Like I want to be able to achieve this by going through LSU to get there. But I knew in order to get to the league, and at that point, that I was gonna have to make a change. And even though it was hard, and even though I had questions and thoughts about it, I knew that I had to make a change. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I was comfortable at LSU. Like, I had just so many people around me, and so leaving there made me, and it taught me how to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable, which I think has been one of the biggest adversities I've overcome, and I think it's been one of the biggest lessons I've been taught, because then I just carry that into everything else I do, to training, to practice, to working hard at games. Like, just not always being in the best spot to go, for example, win a route, or you might be tired after 30 sprints, but how are you gonna keep going? How are you gonna keep attacking that person knowing they're tired, I'm tired? Well, so now I'm just gonna out-hustle you know what I mean, and go win. And that just all just feeds into that dog mindset that we've been talking about.
Does Texas, do they really got that paper? Like that NIL, did you have to take a pay cut, or you got a little raise?
Nah, so I ended up taking a pretty, I'm not a huge, but definitely a good pay cut. That, because like I said, that was on my mind though. The NIL money, all that stuff, I've always called that fun money.
Right.
But the NFL money that's life-changing money.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So I was always focused on that league money.
Well, because at Florida, man, they paying for teams now.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
What?
They getting all these mid-majors in basketball, breaking them all.
So
It's legal. It's legal now. Don't act like we're doing nothing wrong.
Y'all was doing it before that.
But if we being real, RC, I mean, nobody said it when LSU was just dominating the last couple years.
What'd you say?
No one said it when LSU was dominating the last couple years.
Because we were recruiting the right way and developing players, Fred.
Man, we seeing y'all girls, they got cereal, they have their faces on cereal boxes, they on McDonald's, but they was eating good while they were here.
I said, you know we got recruited by LSU too.
Huh?
Huh?
What'd you say?
We got recruited by LSU as well.
What kind of car your mama was driving when you had to commit?
Mitsubishi Diamante.
No, but Jack, you mentioned the NFL and the money. Right now, you're projected, not projected, well, on most draft boards, you're around there, like the fifth or between the fifth and the eighth receiver. But in this draft, we just talked about it, it's so wide open. I mean, you can be the third or fourth receiver taken off the board. How do you feel about your chances going forward?
Like I said, I mean, I don't care if I'm the first receiver taken, the 20th receiver taken. No, I just want to get my foot in the door. Once I get my foot in the door, I'm going to make the most of every chance and opportunity I get. And, man, who has ever taken before me, I'm going to go on a mission to make sure those teams know that, they made a mistake. Just because, it's so much more than comes to just playing the game. I feel like what separates me is up top. And I feel like that's what, makes me the best. Because not everybody has that mindset, and, a lot of people have been gifted their whole life, even through college. But, like, man, once you get to the league, like, you're not really gifted more than anybody else now. Like, that playing field is the same now. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, you get the dudes like Calvin Johnson where not only was he a great football player, but, I mean,
Freak of nature.
But those don't come very often, you know what I mean, where you can literally just go out there and just straight up be better than people having 3 people guard you in the league. I mean, you don't see that very often.
Yeah.
So unless you like that, then, you got to have so much more. Like everybody says, I mean, longevity in the NFL comes from what's between the ears. With everything I've gone through, I have a very developed brain, sense of the game, and just not only just the mindset, but really even being able to see the game, seeing how things are playing out before they play out, seeing different coverages, knowing how to attack different techniques, knowing where the open spots in the defense is, knowing where the help is coming from. So knowing, if it's cover one, they're trying to press you to the inside of the field because that's where the help is. They're not trying to get beat outside. Just being able to attack inside, to be able to move them inside. So now you got out. So now you created all this space for not only yourself, but for the QB to throw the football. So just different things like that, understanding the game, having that mindset off the field that I feel like is going to carry me on and on and on.
Who are your favorite receivers of all time in the league? And out of those guys, is there one of them you would want to have dinner with so you can kind of pick their brains?
To answer that last question, I would probably want to pick Cub's brain the most because I just feel like what I'm talking about and what I bring to the game is what, some of what he brings, just like that knowingness of the game, knowing the nuances and knowing the game like the back of your hand. Like, truly, some of my favorite receivers to watch, it's really a bunch of those LSU guys, just like Jamar and Justin, just like, bro, them dudes are just filthy. Like, they're nasty. And then somebody I named like Calvin Johnson, just him just going up and taking it off people's head. And there's so many dudes I love watching, like going back to like Randy, just like, going Moss people, you know what I mean? Like, just like so many great ones. So definitely picking somebody's brain like Cup and having dinner with him. But I mean, the dudes I watch, because you can take so much from all those people's game. The route running from Jetta's, the yak from Jamar, like that mindset from Amon-Ra, like just going like getting nasty, like Puka, like kind of same as Amon-Ra, just like going and putting your head down, like getting nasty, just going win off, maybe not gaining all this separation, but just going and making a play. Balls in there is mine, it's nobody else's. Like I said, the list can go on and on and on. There's been so many great ones, and I just try to pick at everybody's game so I could, cultivate and be as well-rounded as possible.
I played against Moss, and when you jump and his crotch is still sitting on your shoulder, it's not a good feeling. Coach, how am I going to get up there? I can't get up there where he's going to get that ball. But you brought up the LSU guys, the Jamars, and the Jets. B. Thomas, you played with
Malik.
You played with.
My best friends.
Like those guys, like playing with those, your freshman year, playing with those guys and seeing the success you had around them. Now it's, 4 years later, seeing them develop, but you develop as well. Does that give you the confidence? Because
You've played with all pros since you were a kid, and now you're about to play with them at this next level.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I've always had that confidence in myself. You know, I'm always going to roll the dice and bet on myself. Things like that is just like stamping it. You know, I guess it's like that, just like that extra little confidence to be poured in on top. But, you know, I knew from a young age that, you know, I was built to do this. You know, I'm here for a reason. Going there my freshman year, being the All-American in the SEC, you know, that was just like a stamp of approval. Not really for me, though, but for other people. To show other people, you know, that I am like that, you know, I can do this. And just going out and seeing their success, being in that room with them, not only competing, but learning so much from them. Like you said, man, I have no doubt in my mind that I'm ready for this next step, and that, you know, since I was a kid, I've been built for this.
Oh. I like that.
You know, the process of the pre-draft process, you always hear some of these horror stories from the meetings that you have with teams. And some of those things are about X's and O's, but coaches understand how to turn the film on and see what sort of football player you are. They want to get close to you and understand what sort of man is going to walk into our locker room and add to our culture. When you were asked some of those questions, what sort of man do we get if we draft Jack Bech, what were your answers?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes from so many different things, but no, really what I told him is you're going to get somebody who's going to go in there. First, you're going to get a dog on and off that field. That's first. You're going to get somebody that's going to help you win games no matter how it is. If it's me going crack safety, score touchdowns, catch balls over the middle on fourth down. That's what you're getting first. But off the field, you know, you're going to get somebody, you know, who's accountable and who's always going to, you know, do everything right and who's not going to get caught up in all the stuff, all the exterior stuff. You know what I mean? Not get all... you know, like go and do all the things off the field I'm not supposed to be doing. You're going to get a leader, you know. Obviously, I'm not going to walk into, you know, a room with a bunch of vets and start talking crazy like I run the place. Like, that's not how you do it. You know, I'm going to show these dudes. No, I'm going to show them, like, now, like I said, like, I'm here for a reason. I'm going to show them just my work ethic. You know, I'm going to show them that I'm going to go hard. If it's at practice, after practice, if it's in the weight room, it's in the film room, you know, getting there early, they're staying there late, just making sure, like I'm going to put this team first. Because, you know, me helping you win is helping you get paid, me get paid, them get paid, coaches get paid, support staff get paid. Like, one is the most important thing. So just showing them that, like, man, I love this. I love this organization wherever I'm at. And I'm going to do anything I can to help this team win and to gain those stripes first is what I'm going to do. And I think that's going to be big with my development into the locker room with all these guys. And then from there, once I start making plays on the field and all that, I think that's whenever I will be able to start, you know, using my voice, you know, a little bit more, seeing how guys react to that, get behind me, fall behind me. But really just going there by example first and just show them dudes like, man, I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna do it like every day and be consistent, be that same person every day.
Man, I love that. You know, you keep saying, or you have said over and over again, you know, the reason the NFL goal was here above the LSU goal was to take care of your family. And I think Channing's lived that life, Fred's lived that life, I've lived that life. That's always something that drives you. And when your name is called, it will be a family accomplishment. It always is. There will be people who had to stand behind you, had to sacrifice, who sat out here at St. Thomas More on Friday nights to watch you do what you will be doing now and getting paid for your parents who have lost a son recently. I guess my question would be, how important is it to you now to make sure you not only take care of them, but you continue to make them proud?
The only thing, you know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing on my mind. And, you know, this first contract, I mean, if you be smart with it, you know, you could carry it on, but I mean, it's about that second contract. It's like my head's gonna be down, you know what I mean? Like, my head's gonna be down working. Like, man, I got 4 years to show my skills on that field, to show the person I am in that locker room. Because y'all know it's that second contract. I mean, that first one, you know, you can do a lot of good with it. You can save it, and you could help out a lot with that. But it's that second one. There's never you could, you know, retire your parents, taking care of my family, making them proud. Like, that's first, and that's what drives me. That's what wakes me up in the morning. You know, early mornings, like, I've gone 5 days in a row. Now it's the sixth day. Like, I'm tired. My body's beat up. It's, oh, like, your body needs rest. That's what's best. But nah, it's like, nah, get up and go get it in. Then you can rest after. So that's first. That's what drives me, and that's what's forever going to drive me. And no matter what I'm doing, you know, 15 years after I'm done playing ball, that's the goal, you know, to play for 10, 15 years. You know, after that, whatever I'm doing, that's what's going to keep driving me. Like, And that's something that never goes away. That's a forever drive, you know, because then it's my kids and my wife I'm taking care of with my sisters and my parents and my grandparents. So that's definitely a drive that just pushes me. It just pushes me every day to get better. And it's something that I really take to heart.
How are they, man? How are your parents doing?
So I haven't been home, and you know they say they're good, but I know they're facing trials and tribulations, demons of their own. So you know I'm happy to be home, to be able to spend time with them, to be with them, and to really just have these conversations in person, not just over the phone. You know, it means more being in person, flesh to flesh, instead of just, you know, having a call over the phone. Because you know, with everything too, like they're not trying to put more stress on me. You know what I mean, so they're not telling me everything to where now, you know, it's time. I'm home for, you know, a week or two. You know, I'm still working out and stuff, but, you know, it's not as strenuous as going to all these teams and all these X's and O's like you were saying. So, you know, I can dive in and have these real intimate, deep conversations with them and to really see how they are feeling. And, you know, like I said, you know, I made it a top priority to check in on them all the time, my sisters, and just make sure they're doing good. But I think now being home, you know, I'll really be able to comfort them like I did whenever I was home for the funeral when he passed.
Jack, I want to go back to what Channing mentioned, because he said you were very mature and way ahead, right? I know when I was drafted, I didn't have a plan. I just wanted to be drafted, right? I just wanted to get there, make some money, have some fun, try to win some games, compete. You, on the other hand, you know, it seems that you have a plan, you have things in order. You know, talking about first contract, second contract. When did that start, you know, putting that plan in place? Was it your uncle having already done it? Were you able to see it? Or some of your teammates? Or just, when did that thought process occur?
Yeah, so it probably started like all this probably a year or two ago. Just when people were talking about the league, they always say, you know, unless you're like a top 5 pick, like that first contract is for yourself. That second one is whenever you take care and retire. Where I mean, like I said, I mean that first contract won't be for myself. It's gonna be for all the people around me. But that second, but the point is that second contract, like y'all know, that's whenever you really, you know, like you're good. Like you can put everything away for your kids. You can retire your family, like all that stuff. So I think just going throughout the whole process, starting a few years back, just truly understanding that like money can go fast. So just trying to be as smart as you can with it, but also knowing that second contract is where you can really retire your people has been, and I think that's why like these first couple of years, I'm just gonna work, head down. You know, no matter what's going on, just keep going, keep pushing, keep pressing, so I could get there. And I know I keep saying it, but so I could take care of my family truly.
Does having experienced getting paid through NIL and those opportunities, is that somewhat of a safety net?
Yeah, I would definitely, I don't know if I would say a safety net, but I would definitely say like a learning curve, you know, just knowing how to manage money. You know, every month I put up like 75% of my money. You know, I'm cool with living off $1,000-2,000, you know, getting gas, getting food, you know, whatever it may be. Just like, you know, and every now and then, you know, go and get some kicks or something.
Or like some off-white
Yeah, go and get some kicks or something. These were gifted though.
Oh, those are dope.
These were gifted, so that's why I'm saying I didn't buy these. But just not like, just getting in good habits of putting that money away, just being smart with it. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, if I get drafted and buy a real nice car, like nobody's gonna remember that car. I'm gonna sell that car within the next 4 years. So it's like, in my head, and some people like it, and it's not wrong to like it. You know, in just my head, you know, I got a lot of people to take care of, and so that's gonna be first. You know, with that second contract, I'll take care of them, and I'll do the stuff I want to do. This first contract is just put my head down, grind, stay on track, keep that dog mentality, and like for me, it's not about getting there. You know, like at LSU, it wasn't about getting to LSU. It's like, man, I wanted to separate myself. I wanted to be the best. And so it's not about getting the league. It's not like, Mom, like I did it, we're here, we made it. It's like, nah, like I'm trying to go ball. I'm trying to go make a name for myself in the league. Like I'm trying to go help an organization with Super Bowls. Like I'm not just trying to be there. I'm trying to be the best when I get there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't waste your money on no cars, no jewelry, and foolishness.
And no 6 rings either. He likes 6 rings.
Yeah.
Don't ever buy 6 rings.
I ain't buy nothing, but I partied a lot. And
we're in the church, Shannon.
$4 million my first contract. End of the 4th year, I had $200,000 left. Straight partying, running around. So there's a lot of vices out there, man.
100%.
Yeah, so just stick to that. What's your ultimate goals? You said, because you said NFL was one.
to be honest, you're about to be in the NFL. Now where those goals have to reset.
Yeah, so like I just said, it's that second contract. It's getting there to be able to put my family up. But and that like we're talking football wise, you know, like win Super Bowls, make it to that second contract, help my team win any way possible. Go out, you know, like I want to be a Pro Bowler. I want to put on a gold jacket one day. You know, I want to set these high bars because, you know, it's stuff to chase. Like it's stuff that like it's really hard to achieve. You can't just achieve it being good. You got to be great to achieve these things. But like the ultimate goal, you know, outside of football and everything is, like I said, like to go back and to be with my brother one day back in heaven, you know, where he is. You know, that's my ultimate goal. So
As a young man, you seem to understand honoring people. I think on your eye black, it said, rest in peace, Pop, G, Cat, you know, as a very young man. Can you talk a little bit about who those people were and why you felt you wanted to represent them as you played?
yeah, because like I said, I feel like whenever you do that, like it puts another presence about you. So Pop was my grandpa I lost, G was one of my friends who got shot, and Kat was Walker Howard's mom, one of my best friend's mom who I grew up with, who died of cancer. Just whenever I honor those people, like it just makes you like, you can't be effed with out there on the field. Like you just finna go and win, like be a dog and be great. And now I got, you know, somebody so super close to me like my brother, whereas even that, but on like a whole different level. And I just feel like it's something that pushes you, and it's something where at like halftime, man, you look at yourself in the mirror and you see those names, like you're doing it for not yourself, you're doing it for everybody around you.
In the Senior Bowl, you got to wear 7 to represent your brother. When you grow up here, in the era you grew up in football, 7 means a totally different thing to people in this area, right? And to get an opportunity to represent him in that way in the Senior Bowl as well, how or what physical representation, tangible representation do you plan to carry with you in the NFL to remember your brother?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I want to wear a 7. You know, I know whenever I walk in the building, a vet might have it or something like that, so definitely not overstepping. But, you know, eventually in my career, I definitely want to put on number 7. And then just different tats and marks on my body, you know, just being able to, him always being a part, you know, so you're taking a picture, you know, you see these things, which like it's a piece of him, and it's all on the left side of my body, you know, to represent that he is my other half. And it's on the side of my heart, you know, like I said, just knowing that like truly like I am a 2-for-1, you know, like not even on the field, off the field. That's me and Tiger, you know, in one person. I'm in one person carrying both of our spirits. Just different things like that. Definitely cleats, like memorable cleats like I played with in the Super Bowl. And so I can just keep living his legacy on, just so whenever I'm making plays, like people are seeing the details of the cleats of the different tats and different things like that. So it's just always bringing people back to my brother.
At the Super Bowl this year, you were on the field. And, you know, it was one of those things for me. It was amazing to be there because it was such a large representation of what New Orleans is. It was such a large representation of the way we welcome people, the way we celebrate people, and also the way we remember people. When you are on the field and Cam Jordan is there and they're sort of commemorating or just having a moment to remember the people who were lost on January 1st, what are some of your thoughts of that night?
Surreal, you know, just not only being able to honor my brother, but honor everybody, you know, else who died in that attack. You know, just such a tragic event for so many people. Because, you know, it's hard losing somebody like that. You know, whenever you just lose them, you know, whenever they have a sickness, like you can prepare yourself and stuff like that. But whenever it's just something like that so sudden, and they're just here and then they're gone, you know, it's hard. So just being able to stand for all those people. And I'm not gonna lie, what was also on my mind when I was talking to my brother, like, I'm coming and win one of these for you one day. Like I promised him, like I'm gonna be on this field, you know, giving him glory and all those people glory, playing. You know what I mean? Lifting them up in a different way. But man, I was in that field thinking about like, I'm gonna come win one for not only you, but for everybody we're representing. So even little things like that, just like without people knowing, just like push me.
Jack, the name of this show is The Pivot, and we always ask our guests, what's their biggest pivot in life? We tend to hesitate with asking younger people because their life is just, you know, getting going, but you've gone through a lot. You know, you've gone through a whole lot. But if you can look back on that one moment and say, without this moment happening to me or for me, I wouldn't be who I am today.
I think two come to mind. I think the transfer from LSU, because I think it taught me, like I said, how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I think it taught me so many different lessons of like how sometimes like in order to achieve what you want to achieve, you're gonna have to leave a lot of stuff behind. Like you're gonna have to do new ways of doing stuff. Like you're always gonna have that support, but you might not just have it right here. Like you're gonna have to find something like inside you to keep going, keep pushing. Like you gotta self-motivate yourself. So I think that and just like that whole adversity, but I said that too because I think going through all that and facing that adversity, I think is one of the main reasons I was able to stand strong when my brother died and be that rock for him. You know, I think it just, so many lessons were taught in that and God showed me. I like saying that like God will bring you to rock bottom to show you he is the rock at the bottom. He can bring you out from anything you're dealing with or you're in. So I think him showing me rock bottom right there, bringing me up, letting me have the year I just had, then my brother passed and bring me back there, just knowing that like he will be able to bring me back out of this, my family back out of this, I think has been two of the biggest like monumental things that have happened in my life to be able to make me the man, the person I am today and forever will be, you know, from here.
A lot of times, and you know, we can be honest about this, you're sometimes nervous to sit down with very young athletes because this is a long form platform and it's difficult to carry. It's difficult to communicate things in ways that not only educate people and entertain people, but also move people. You've lived, man, a long lifetime in a short amount of years. I thank you for your openness, your vulnerability, your candor. There's no doubt in my mind you have what it takes on the grass, but getting opportunity to talk to you, man, you also have what it takes off the field to impact the world. Man, best of luck on the weekend. Can't wait to hear your name called, man, and you are the definition of a pivot, man. So our prayers and condolences still to your family, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate y'all for giving me this opportunity, and like you said, just can't wait for next week. But no, I appreciate y'all for flying in and for coming to take this time to do this. So
No
I
doubt.
appreciate y'all.
My dog.
Sir.
Man, you 22 going on 78.
Wait right now, bro. 215?
215?
Yes, sir.
I didn't realize he was that big,
What'd you
man,
weigh the
for
first
sure.
year? What'd you have to weigh the first year at LSU?
Like 218 and 220.
Coach said you play right
No,
now.
I just came a little bit down.
Came a little bit down.
I was at like, beginning of the draft process, like 10.7% body fat at 215. Then I went all the way down to 8.3.
Gotcha.
At 215 though, so didn't
Where'd you
lose
train?
any weight. Exos.
Exos.
Up in Dallas or Plano area.
Your mind is in the right place. Right. You've seen a lot. Your mind is on tight. You got those guys to lean into who are just going to the league, and Malik and Chase and all of them. So, yeah, just tap into your resources, man. Don't be afraid to lean on it. Lean on, you know, those relationships you have, and that'll keep your head tight and you have a long career by taking care of your body first.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. I had Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor, Junior Seau, all in the room with me. So I would annoy the shit out of them.
Right.
So why did you
Always
do
asking
this? Why did you do that? Why did you do this? Zach would be like, God damn, Chan, I don't know. I was like, so this you didn't see nothing? I was like, what did you see here? What did you see with this tight end? Yeah, man, that shit just clicks after a while. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Because that shit, 3 Hall of Famers in the room, I was like, oh shit, I'm about to question your ass to death.
Yeah.
And that thing helped me out a lot, especially a young guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, started first game off bat. Yeah, third rounder and shit. Started for the Dolphins 7 years.
Yeah, it's a lot changed. Those coverages, when you get on the next level, they got
I'm
all the
talking about-
all the cheat codes and everything. The DBs, you might see one covers, but they play it a little differently just to throw you off, and everything is a chess match.
Man, we
Every entire game.
Invert cover 3, invert cover 2.
Yes,
that shit.
Just everything rocking and rolling. You never throwing it. I already
Ain't nothing
know.
basic. Yeah, it
Nothing
ain't no
basic.
basic stuff.
Nope.
They watch film like this. Now, if the DBs and quarterbacks, the secondary and QBs watch film more than anybody else. I believe, the places that I've been. Now, the linebackers get their film
We
too.
got to go front and back
Right.
side.
The
But-
mic does it.
But the
front
DBs,
and
man,
backside.
receivers, depends on where you are.
Right.
When I got to New England, Randy, all those guys, like the running backs and receivers we had to watch film together because we were all interchangeable. You never knew what the Pats wanted to do. You can find up and be the F and number 2 one day, or you be on this side playing the Y. Like it was all ridiculous. So we had to work together. And we had to know their routes and when to break it off, zone, return.
all the
Yeah, man,
adjustments and stuff.